My name is Jenna Apgar, and thank you for coming to the office. It's a little dull. I've not been super focused on inviting everybody to work on that the next couple weeks. I do digital marketing, so if you know someone who has a website that doesn't make them money while they sleep, that's what we're turning over right now. But not really talking about me anyway, so let's get that over with. But David's going to speak today because, like Eric, my week's been nuts. But David has been able to focus really on one thing for a really long time, which is someone with ADD. I find that absolutely incredible. But the last week, I also got to see it in play and how much of a difference it makes in doing something contiguously. So if y'all have heard David speak before, it's usually around the same kind of question, if anything were possible. What kind of future could you imagine? Did I get all the words right? Words are important there, right? Each little word has a very significant point on why it is the word it is. But I myself have seen it this week when I asked somebody else that question and I watched their answer, and you're like, ooh, damn, that's really what you want 1 year from now? Because we tend to put a lot of blocks, and the way we frame that question, how we answer it, the first time is not good. And then I was able to roll out mine, that I've been in the process of working with David for 4 or 5 years, forever now. And you can see the drastic difference. So if you've heard him talk before, I do recommend always still listening, because it is a process that should be done quarterly probably. And refined over and over again. So I'm going to let him take it over because he's been refining his own talk. But I suggest ears open. All right?
Good. Thanks. All right. So thank you for the opportunity, Jenna. Thank you for those on Facebook. Are we Facebook
Yeah, you're
Live?
Facebook.
Okay. For Facebook Live, I shared this before. If you hadn't got here, I'm going to do this slide-free, deck-free. This is totally going to be, to some degree, stream of consciousness. So that's a very high-risk proposition for me. And I'll tell you why. And I'm going to use a story that some of you may have heard before, but it's about my daughter, Michelle. And if you've heard the story, wait till the end to laugh. But anyway, so my daughter, Michelle, when she was 3 years old, and I raised her pretty much as a single dad for the most part until she was 6 years old. At 3 years old, we would always have these. She loves to read, still consumes books and books and books and books. But when she was little, obviously I was reading to her, and so we go through the process. And I would read to her, and I don't know, anybody have kids? Or know of kids? know people who have kids? Anyway, that's one of the most precious times is that time just before bed. You know, whether you're saying their prayers, whether you're reading them a book, just kind of checking in to see how the day was, especially as a dad who worked and I traveled a lot and everything else. So whenever I had those opportunities, it was very important to me. And one night, she's about 3 years old, I'm reading her a story, and you get really emotional. You're reading your kids a story, and you kind of feel like maybe you're connecting, and it's going really well, and you're feeling really good about it, right? And I looked at her, and I was just kind of overcome with emotion, and I said, Michelle, there's nobody like you in the whole world. And I looked at her, my eyes kind of teared up, and her eyes kind of teared up, and her little lips started to quiver. If you've ever seen your kids in that kind of state, it's kind of, it even kind of starts to escalate, right? You start, I'm about ready to cry, right? Then her lip quivers, and she looks at me and she says, nobody likes you either. So even though I say words mean things, I want you to understand that I'm going to be kind of speaking from the heart and kind of giving you some tips. And one of the things that as Jenna mentioned, and Randy knows, and some of you have been here, is the whole vision challenge thing that I've been working on probably literally since I retired in 2005 and realized that I didn't have, all I knew was I was on a path that was going to generate regret. You with me? Anybody ever get there? You're showing up every day, you're trapped in your license to operate, day in, day out, and all of a sudden you take stock and you go, oh, if I keep on this path, I'm going to end up at the end of the day, whenever that is, potentially with some significant regrets, some things that I wish I would have done. And I was traveling, 4 million miles, or I had traveled over 4 million miles on airlines. about 3 on American, so I'm a lifetime platinum, which I don't know what that buys you other than I get to go third now, I think, on the airlines when they call it here in Dallas. Everybody's a platinum, it seems like, and anyway, not gonna go there. But, so I was going through that process, and I had an awakening, and it can be many different things in your life, okay? And so the first step I always say is you have to awaken. You have to get to the point. If you want to live your dream, and my unique reason, my cause, my passion, my purpose, for me, not necessarily for you, is to change the world one dream at a time. I'm known as the Vision Warrior. I've become known as the Vision Warrior. That's why when she was talking what I do, the focus is there. Because I believe that is the foundational component for getting you to the future that anything were possible. I believe if you have a clear vision of why you're on the planet, okay, and the value you provide to the people that the universe or God puts on your path, and then you are moving in a direction of your own intent, of your own design, which is your ideal day, which is your dream. Now the reality of it is people think that's somewhere down the road. So one of the first secrets is your dream needs to be today. Okay? Now, I would ask you, and I'm going to ask you guys this question, and you need to give me kind of an answer. When you woke up this morning, when you first became conscious, okay, when your frontal lobe woke up and realized, okay, who am I, where am I? You know, you go through that process, right, of waking up. It's called a theta state. You know, basically you're going from unconscious to conscious, and your mind goes through this wake up process. Was there any aspect, and you don't have to be as vulnerable as I would be, but just, is there any aspect of the life that you intended to, or were looking at living today, this morning, when you got up? Is there any aspect of that you said, yeah, I'm going to deal with that, but that's not I wish I wasn't going to have to deal with that. And I'll give you some categories I'm stalling a little bit to give you some time to process. It can be specifically with your business. It could be with your relationships, could be your close-in relationships, could be your network, could be your finances, could be where you live, what you're looking at doing today. Maybe it's your physical state. But was there any aspect, if you look at the whole thing of your ideal day, of your day, and comparing what the day you're looking at today is to what you would consider ideal, is there anything that in your mind was going to fall short, or falls short? I'll let you raise your hand. Jen. You don't have to be, trust me, this is safe space, but we are on Facebook Live, so you can say, the category, I don't have to have details. Relationships, okay? So that's not an unusual one. That was one of the ones, frankly, in mine, when I woke up, I was, you ever hear the quality versus quantity time thing with kids? I had 5 kids, and I literally didn't sleep on weekends when I was home because I traveled Monday through Friday. And when I came home, I didn't hardly sleep at all because I had so many things I wanted to cram into the weekend with my kids. But when I literally woke up on a plane and realized something was different, and that I was a zombie in the zombie apocalypse, and I was going through a journey not of my design, but in fact somebody else's design. It doesn't matter how much they pay you. if you're going through somebody else's design for your life. Do you understand? Does that make sense? Everybody agree with that? I mean, you know, you can pay people a lot of money to do things that they hate, and then they go kill themselves. So like, that's what you see with a lot of these people who have, I mean, I don't mean to be morbid, but I'm just saying.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You see it all the time. You see people, you go, wow. You've maybe fantasized or idolized them as somebody who has it all, right? And all of a sudden, they wake up and they decide they don't want what they have anymore. With me? Okay, great. Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate you sharing. I'm going to try and call. I want to get a sense. Greg, anything come to mind? Again, this is. There's no right or wrong here because it's really you.
No, I mean, I've done a similar exercise as that. I'm always conscious of the first thought when I wake up, and so it used to be a cuss word every time I woke up. Shit or fuck. It's changed over time. It's no longer vulgarities.
It's a little calmer,
Yeah.
Any particular aspect?
Quite frankly, my business is not
Your business.
where it's at, and I'm responsible for that.
That's awesome, because frankly, that is an awareness, and again, part of success, because I'm going to tell you, living your dream is a journey, and you can decide that dream is every day you live. Does that make sense? That's one of the secrets, is what you wake up.
I don't know. I would say
Anything that occurs to you. Just, again, we all get up with the intention of solving some kind of problem or doing something or moving forward. So it's, you're here because I believe it, right?
Yeah.
Anything?
I would say, probably along the lines of him as well as business is like, okay, how am I changing this direction? And, making sure that I actually am focusing on where I want it to be. And by where also means area, because it's easy to just go back to the old stomping grounds. And
Yeah, it is.
but I told myself I didn't want to have to drive that far every day anymore.
Yeah,
so,
it is. Good.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. That's authentic. That's good. I would assume everybody here in Business Growth Networkers has some aspiration that maybe they don't wake up this morning feeling their business was ideal and they didn't have anything to do with it, right? So that's good. Karen, did you have anything?
Well, I was trying to look back and see what I'd actually written down this morning, but it was basically what I needed to do to help my clients. And that was, it's like the second thought came out of my head, it's like, what am I gonna do today to prepare myself for that 6 weeks of open enrollment? To help my clients get to where they need. And 10 minutes after I got to the office, my ideal client that I never got around to calling during the 90 days, but it was the one that I want 300 just like Carol, she called. And we had a 30-minute conversation
Wow.
trying to help get through.
So you hadn't called her before?
I hadn't
She
called
called
her,
out
yeah.
of the blue? Or?
Yeah, she just called out of the blue well, she needed help with
Yeah,
some insurance
interesting.
stuff, but it was like, I was supposed to call her back in June, but it was like, no, I know, she's my ideal client, I know what her answers are because we'd spent enough time last October together. And it was like, I want 299 more just like her.
Cool. So you want more of that ideal client and you woke up with that. Jay?
Yeah, I mean,
Anything?
in the past years, I had, when I wake up, I had many problems, like, don't want to do the job what I'm doing it, and then many other things. You feel like, okay, where I am now, this is another day, But I'm also the practitioner, deep practitioner of the meditation, and lately, last 3 years, I went to a very particular meditation, and then it wiped me everything off. So now when I wake up, I'm kind of completely neutral, and I just I have to go through the visualization, what I supposed to do or what I have, like just you say, and then I just be aware that okay, today I have to do this, and that's it.
Great. Okay. Dagmar, I'll give you a break because you're just walking in. So
I'm glad to.
yeah, Mark.
Getting out of my comfort zone. Today's my networking day.
Uh-huh.
And I spent the last 5 years working out of the house remotely. So even though I was previously in sales, I'm not accustomed to presenting and talking and being in front of people. So, you know, it's like, here we go, you know, getting out of my comfort zone and getting out and doing something I haven't done in a long time.
That's awesome. In fact, I'll come back to that because that's actually a comfort zone. Those kind of things are also tied up in the secrets for how to live your ideal day. Randy, I know you've always got
As
some.
some of you who know me, you know, I'm very happy with my career, I'm very happy with my family, but in the course of creating the happiness in those two areas, I've neglected my body.
Mhm.
And as Jenna saw earlier today, when it was just the two of us here, my shoulder came apart, so I had to kind of put it back.
Oh, wow.
So it's just, you know, the pieces are just falling apart, but we're working on it.
Yeah, so the physical aspect, again, I mean, Randy knows, you guys have seen me on my own journey. I mean, I woke up and just said I didn't
Yeah.
like what I felt in the mirror, and just, you know, physically and how I looked and what I was, my level of energy and those kinds of things. So that's a normal thing. Hector, did you have anything?
Well, this morning I have two babies at home,
Uh-huh.
a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Wow.
So the first thing I woke up was I had to go make those bottles. So and then literally had to get myself into I need to start working today because again I my own boss in a certain way. I do my own scheduling, calendar, and everything.
Mhm.
So getting on the work zone sometimes in the morning after just push all the kids out of the house, daycares, the wife, coffee, bottles, and then I need to sit down and it's like, okay, I need to probably now start thinking of work. So I think I was paying attention to everything you said today about if I had something I want to change or do in my life. And I think I need to actually have those goals before I go to bed because I'm waking up with
Beautiful.
what I have
Very
to
good.
do.
Go ahead. I don't think he's coming through. I don't think that.
No, I think it's the weed whacker.
It's a weed whacker?
Yeah, I bet $5 on that.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. I thought they were drilling through the foundation.
Sorry, Facebook Live,
Yeah.
we had somebody trying to drill through the glass here and
But yes, so
so good, yeah,
That's what it is.
that is my take on that.
yeah. Dagmar, the question that you kind of walked in before, that was started was, I said, when you woke up this morning, just to kind of, and I'm encouraging people on Facebook Live to do, is if you were your dream, your ideal day, when you woke up this morning, was there anything that occurred to you that was not, that you were looking forward to, or that was probably going to deal with in the day that wasn't going to fit that mold of your dream, or wasn't going to be that ideal day, necessarily where you...
Yeah, I ran a list of 10,000 items I need to complete today.
Okay, good.
That was not ideal.
Yes. So there was, you woke up, if I can say, with, I do this, by the way, so I can relate. I wake up with my list, and if I'm not careful, my initial, once I get out of theta state, is I start getting anxious and or excited, and again, they're the same chemical, they're the same thing. It's that fight or flight part of your wiring, and I wake up with that list. And if I'm not careful, to Hector's point, if I hadn't planned out the thoughts I was going to have in the morning, or really framed everything when I wake up, any one of those things could take me in any direction at once, right? And so, yeah, so 10,000 is a huge list, right? I'm not sure I could deal with it. As Jenna said, Jenna says I have
Always expand.
ADD, and that's true. And so it's easy for me to chase rabbits, or to go here or to go there, and that's one of the risks of doing this. By the way, somebody give me a high sign, because this is something that I could do. One of the things if you don't, may or may not know about me is I actually have semi-autographic memory, and I process most thinking outside my head. So actually speaking for me or having a one-on-one is a learning activity for me, as much because of what I get from you, but also what I hear from myself. Does that make sense? So again, so that's good. So we all wake up in the morning and we are pretty quick to see the gap between, so I don't know if will these work, Jen?
Yeah, I've got a whole drawer full of
Okay. Okay, so if I look at, let's say you're here, and if anything were possible, your future looks like this. Frankly, what it is your journey will look like this. It will increase. It's not real fancy graphics here, but it starts out slow, but increases at an increasing rate. So it becomes geometric if you continue. Asymptotic. What you do when you're what? Financial guys. What does this look like? It's like compound
interest.
Compound interest.
Guess what? That's a universal law. You understand? It's a universal law for health. I started here, and when I got to here, wasn't seeing much, right? It's pretty easy to abandon here. Right? See, you actually, if the truth be known, some point along this path we have something called the Valley of Despair. In transformation, I did large-scale, multi-billion-dollar outsourcing transactions, and one of the things we always knew when we were going to migrate from current state to future state, right, we would realize that there was going to be a point where somebody is going to realize along this journey how hard it is. And all of a sudden, if you're not careful, if we're not focused on this, what happens? You start going, you go, oh, that's not working.
Yeah.
And you go like this, right? That's not what you want to do. The only thing, and it's actually, I never say never, although I just did. I don't believe in always. I think when you're having arguments or discussions with people, when you start talking in those absolutes and those large things, you're actually diminishing your credibility and also creating the opportunity to escalate and explode. So that's a whole different conversation, but my point is, one of the most consistent things that I believe on my own journey that I've learned, and that's why I'm so focused on it, is the foundation that you need to have on this living your dream every day is knowing what the hell that is. Does that make sense? If you want to market something, Jenna will tell you this, and we've had many conversations, because she's a digital marketer and she works with people. And trying, one of the things in the 90-day thing that we put up was find your vision, find your reason, vision, and value. Find those things. Get clarity on those things and realize that that is the focus. So the secret is not a secret, but it is something that most people, you would think it's a secret, because I was the same way, and I'm not talking about people just in this room. I'm talking about CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies and actors and actresses and people that you would look at and go, oh, they got it all together, and guess what? They don't, because they're not living their dream. In fact, the risk is giving up on that because you forget what that is. So the first secret is really to know what it is. What is that dream, that ideal day? Your dream is not a destination. Do you understand that? For those who have been with me on the journey of the whole vision challenge and everything else, you understand that you're never arriving. I've been retired since 2005. And people look at me and they go, you're not retired. You're standing up in front of a room teaching people. You're running this networking group and that networking group, and you're doing this with your church, and you're doing this, and you're doing this, and you're helping people, and you're helping a company get started, and you're doing all this stuff. How can that be retirement? The answer is, it's part of my dream, part of my ideal day. The answer is that retirement, I believe, and you guys, financial guys, ought to take a note on this one, because retirement is not doing nothing. And retirement is not abandoning your life purpose to go on, lay on a beach, or play golf, or whatever. I tried that. I did
Unless
that.
that is your life purpose.
Well, you know what, if that is, I was never good enough at golf, and I never looked good enough on the beach for that to become my life purpose, for people to say, well, boy, he was the best guy on the beach I ever saw. No, I knew that that wasn't my life purpose. But it took me about 6 months after retirement, because I'm of the age and thought that retirement was quit work and just chill. And you know what that translates into, right? A death sentence. That's 6 years. The average life expectancy for somebody post-retirement, in the way that people define it, is 6 years. Okay? When did I say I retired? 2005. What is this? 2019. Have I passed that? Yeah. But if I did, I'm not sure I would have, honestly, necessarily, had I not continued to say I gotta be on a journey that includes my purpose, includes the reason I wake up in the morning. And there's lots of reasons. You know, Dagmar says she has 10,000 reasons to get up and get to work. Yeah. But the point is, retirement is doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, where you want. Where you want was real important to me, because I was always on a plane. I've seen a lot of places all over the world that you would say, oh, it'd be good to go to Paris, it'd be good to go to New Zealand, it would be good to do this, it'd be good to, yeah. But a conference room in New Zealand looks the same as a conference room in Dallas. And when you spend all your time, you know, on airplane, and airplanes don't look any different in any part of the country. Whatever tarmac you're on, the airplane looks the same, okay? So is that really the objective? The answer is no. Is being busy the objective? The answer is no. Is not having nothing to do the objective? The answer is no. So what is the answer? The answer is the thing I'm not going to spend on how to get there. If you want to know that, we have a vision challenge, we have tools in the Business Growth Network. I can work with you one-on-one, you know, whatever. We can talk about how to discover your unique reason, vision, and value. That's okay. But one of the things I'm working with about 30 people right now, I've had a number of conversations with folks as they come out of the Vision Discovery workshop, and I would submit that there's probably 99% of them that's still not fleshed out. That's still not there. So it's not like, that's not a destination either. That's a journey of discovery, and the key is that living your ideal day is knowing what this looks like and being on this journey. Does that make sense?
Sometimes people wake up and at least come to the realization that where they are is probably not where they really want to be.
Right.
But they are frozen in fear because they don't know where they want to be or how to get there.
Well, and I love that, because you're exactly right. The interesting thing is, I do this. You ever go to okay, so let's just, and this is part of my talk, and I'm refining it. But let's just say that you now know what this is, and it's a moving target. Okay, so accept that a vision is something that's always on the horizon. So as you start moving closer to it, it might move, you know, generally, it might move a little bit, right? You get closer and closer and you say, it's, you know, you can refine it, right? There's nothing that is static. So you're on this journey, and one of the things people said is, okay, I know this, but I'm so far from here, where I'm at, that it becomes overwhelming. It becomes paralyzed. It becomes all of a sudden, what do I do? Any other thoughts on that? Because I'm gonna use the mall example, okay? So you ever go to a mall and you look at the directory in a shopping mall? Can you find, if you walk into the mall and walk into whatever drawer, east, north, south, east, west, whatever, what are the two things you need to know, right? You need to know where you're going, what store you're looking for, so you look at the directory and you say, okay, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, and then you say, where are you? And I'm, okay, so to get from here to here, I need what? I need to know you are here. That's the one I love, I always look for that in the thing. Okay, so I see there's the store I wanna go to, here's where I am. If I don't know that. So it's not as simple as just knowing. And this is, I'm kind of unselling the vision, but the vision is the foundation. The vision is the starting point. It's the thing you've got to hang on to. It's the thing that will sustain your journey. It's the thing that will make you do it. It's a secret that you have to know the answer to. But the other part of that is, this is relevant. It has to be, we have to know where you're at. And you have to, the other secret is, that dream has to be lived every day. You say, how can I live my dream? My life is a mess. I've got and I would submit that you could probably, using Dagmar's example, you could probably come up with 10,000 things if you really spent time thinking about it. You don't want to, of gaps from what this would look like if you were really living your ideal day and where you're at when you woke up this morning. Does that make sense? So the thing is, how do you sustain the journey? And the vision sustains your journey, but the journey is what? One step at a time. One day at a time. So how do you live your ideal day? Anybody want to, I have the answer, but anybody want to give me their thought? Jen?
I think the first one is just structuring your morning.
Okay.
If nothing else, you may not be able to control the rest of your day, you can control your morning.
Excellent. Morning is important. I'm gonna, that's very close, by the way. I'm glad. That makes
Like
me
I know
excited.
you.
It's like you know me. What else is required
Well, I had a,
to live your
One time I-
ideal day or your dream right now, today?
today, I will go mountain biking, but it's not my ideal day in conjunction with
Yeah.
the destination. I had an interest, I went to.
I always use the term average, Greg, because it's not
Okay,
every day, but average sounds average, and people think of average. So I don't use. I just say I was coached not to use average, but it really is. It's a equilibrium, right? You don't do everything every day, but yeah. So
I mean, part of what I do is I break up, I try to compartmentalize what I can accomplish today, which will keep me on that path towards that final objective. I can't go from point A to point B without 1A, 2B, or 2A along the way. So I need to have milestones along that path
perfect.
that I can reward myself and know that I'm moving.
You guys are a great class. I mean, I can connect these dots. No, this is good. Somebody else have any thoughts
I think you
about?
have to be purposeful about doing it. You gotta be committed to what he just said, identify those things, and then make a commitment, okay, I'm gonna go from A to B to C to D and do it.
Yeah, term I've often used is life by design, not by default.
Right, exactly.
And part of being a zombie is you're living your life by default. So yes, intentional is good. Any other thoughts? The real key here is, and this is the next secret, is the real dream is back here. The real dream is here. If you are experiencing in your mind the emotions, the chemicals, the feelings, the things that are all part of your dream, your ideal day, your subconscious, your non-analytical mind doesn't know the difference between that and you actually being on the cruise. You with me? So the reality of it is, there's nothing, absolutely nothing except your own mind that's keeping you today from waking up living your ideal day or your dream. Nothing. But how? So how do you live that ideal day? It's not intellectual. It's not visioning, it's not affirmations, it's not neurolinguistic it's all of them, but it's not any one of those, okay? There's no silver bullets here. The reality of it is, the other secret, so you can be, the second secret is you can, there's nothing that keeps you from living your ideal today except
Yourself.
Your willingness to envision and embrace that dream today. It's not a destination. See, if you're waiting to be happy when somebody makes you happy, if you're waiting to be wealthy until things change in your external environment, you're never going to get there. Because it starts with a vision. Again, you got to understand, that's where my grounding is. But it starts with seeing. Nothing happens in the physical world without first being envisioned. Whether it's this building, whether it's, people use examples of Disney World and Walt Disney's, it could be anything. But the point is, it's the same in you and me. Same in me. If I don't know what it is. When I retired and realized I was going to have regrets and stepped out of that to say, okay, this isn't getting me where I want to go, the big gap in my problem was I didn't know what that dream looked like. I didn't have clarity on it. It wasn't holistic. It wasn't complete, right? So because it wasn't complete and because it wasn't holistic and because I didn't know what it was, I can tell you story after story of, craters in the path, holes that I fell in, things that I did, things, stupid tacks that I had to take. All these things. So knowing what it is, realizing you can live it every day, the other part of it is, and this is one that's really interesting, is that you have to exercise that and come up with a way. And Jay mentioned meditation. Because the thing is, there are tactics. There are things that you can do, and that's one of the things I want to give you, some practical tactics. One of the people that I'm a big fan of is Mel Robbins. Have you ever heard of Mel Robbins? 5-second rule?
5 seconds.
Okay. Jenna mentioned the morning routine. One of the things is I have issues, as does Mel Robbins, with anxiety. I went through a period where I wake up and I don't know if I've ever had a full-blown anxiety attack, but I have had issues where made me totally unproductive because I was thinking about what if this, and all of a sudden it escalates. And one of the things you have to do is when you wake up in the morning, and again, Jenna said the morning routine. I didn't ask you for the morning just out of picking a time. When you wake up in the morning, that's the time where you determine whether this day is going to be by your design or by your default. If your destiny is continuing to be defined by your vision and not by your history. You with me? And we've talked about that before, the 95% of your thoughts, the 70,000 thoughts you're going to have today, or there's going to be 90% of those, 95% of those are grounded in your past. So what do you do with that? So you wake up and you first have to do an interrupt. In Mel's world, it's wake up, and when you find yourself thinking about the email or getting on your phone or the fight you had last night or the bad day you had yesterday, when your mind starts going, okay, that's who I am. You wake up and you're coming out of this state, right? The secret is when you're coming out of that state, that's the biggest opportunity. You're coming out of your comfort zone. Okay? Creativity is not within your comfort zone. Do you with me? This is another secret. it's doing the pattern interrupt on that program of 95% of the thoughts that are grounded in yesterday, that if you don't break that, and put run a new program, first of all, you gotta know where this is. You gotta have some, I recommend tools, coaches, my Vision Catalyst, other things. Once you know that, it'll keep you on that path every day. Regardless of what that is, you're still, no matter how good your coaches are, no matter how good your Vision Catalyst is, and this is one thing I talk about, you have to wake up in the morning and do a pattern interrupt. You've got to stop, because still, we're creatures of habit. You've heard that, right? We're zombies. If you read my book, or when I finally publish it. Sorry.
That's your worldwide bestseller?
I know. Yeah. Soon to be bestseller.
Soon to be bestseller.
Soon to be
Sorry.
bestseller. The thing is, it's the same concept. It's this whole thing. We're programmed externally. When somebody says to me, I should be doing this, or I wish I did this, or I would like to be 60 pounds lighter, I would like to have a six-pack abs, or whatever that is. What is that? That's language of imperatives. That's basically saying, I think I'm supposed to be here, but I'm not here. The question is, you should never say that.
What's keeping you from getting it?
The reality of it is, I'm on my journey. The next secret is, I'm on my journey. It's what you're telling yourself, and when you find yourself, self-observance, self-awareness is the next secret in living your ideal day. Knowing, paying attention to the other part of your brain. Use the 5%. We all have the 100%, and we all have the 5% frontal lobe, which is bigger than, I think, any other species on the planet. So it's a good tool. It's a good asset. I mean, in terms of how it's available to us. Now, maybe dolphins, or some other, or maybe But I'm just saying, there's something that we can use that allows us to reason, allows us to analyze. But you've got to take that analytical mind and let it start programming your mind for what's going on. One of the things I loved what Karen said, which was, and this has happened to me 1,000 times since I came up with it, is I realized I would like to have this person as my client, or I realized that I would like to have this in my world, in my relationship, or whatever, and just kind of miraculously, right, that person calls me. Had this happen to me 3 days ago. Person I had been thinking about as I was doing my own meditation morning routine, got up and I was thinking, okay, I really need to do something with this person. And that day, I had a missed call. Now, the real amazing thing was when I called him back, because I missed his call, I said, I missed your call, but I was just thinking about you. And he says, you must have been thinking pretty hard because it was a butt dial.
That's funny.
I didn't intend to call you. You're close to this other guy on my list, and I think I hit you instead. And then it was just, because he didn't leave a message. But you have people in your list that if they call you, even if they leave a message or not, you call them back, right? If Randy called me, or Jenna called me, and I didn't answer the phone, I would call her back. Karen, I would, I mean, there's people in this room that we have the relationship with, and this is one of those people. But do you think that was an accident? I don't think it was an accident anymore. I believe that there's all kinds of energy, flow, things going on around us, and I think we are more in control of attracting, the whole law of attraction. I believe there's a lot of things wrong with that thought process, but I also believe there's a lot of things right. I mean, it's like anything else. You can be 99% right and 1% kill you. But, the point is,
Those
Right?
berries were
I
good.
I mean,
I'm
it
not
happens,
breathing
you know, it
anymore.
happens on the highway every day. I just had to take defensive driving because I got a ticket. And, you know, it's like, you know, you can be 99% right, but, you know, and it's not an accident, it's a crash. You know, I learned that too. But anyway, sorry, I'm full of that now.
5 minutes.
So 5 minutes till 1?
Till 1 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
We've got 5 minutes till 12:58.
So that's all the secrets I'm going to give you right now because I've got a couple of others. I actually touched on 3. Got a couple of others that I'm going to do on Friday. But are there any questions? Anything? This was intended to be formal, interactive, and as is often the case, I talk more than I should. Yes, Jay.
What is the exact difference between daydreaming? You are dreaming, you know, but then you are intentionally doing visualization.
Awesome. Great question. What is the difference between having a dream and daydreaming or
Like you are
daydreaming?
thinking something, oh, I should have the idea.
Yeah,
but
it's
then
real because
visualization is
visualization, number one,
intentionally
it has to be real. If I give you my pictures, my words, this is why the Vision Catalyst is kind of challenging for some of the folks. They like mine, but that's not theirs. So dreaming or your vision or whatever you want to call it, that ideal day that you're seeking, is of your own design. It's real, and you're moving daily towards it. One of the secrets I'm going to give, you know, on Friday that I'll just mention, don't have time to go into it, is 15 minutes a day. If you are doing something not just in your mind, but in your life, to move on that path, that's what it takes to be on what I call your bridge from the future.
But isn't it a question of intentionality? Daydreaming is not intentionality.
Well, daydreaming is fantasizing.
Right.
Daydreaming is a fantasy, and part of the problem is we have way too many people in this world living in a fantasy, envisioning something that they want,
And they'll never get it.
but they'll never get it because 99% of the people say they want to, you know, lose weight, do this, whatever. So it's really because there's a plan.
Right.
fantasy is more clear than what you visualize. You know? The picture of the fantasy is more clear, more intense than what you visualize. So it looks like both are the separate thing, and I don't know where is
No,
that-
it's actually, yeah, it's not, that's good. The thing is, the dream needs to be in the realm of possibility. If it's not in the realm of possibility.
Otherwise, it's fantasy.
Then it is a total fantasy. It's what I would call a pipe dream.
Yeah, right.
So a pipe dream is one, but the other part of the equation is, are you taking steps? Here's the thing, one of the things is once you know what this is, and every day you're reminding yourself of what that is, okay, that's a first intentionality, is not giving up on that after you've taken the time to do in my vision discover and clarify, okay, now I'm done. Put it up, you know, self-help becomes shelf-help. It doesn't help. So you have to put it into action every day. The thing is, there's this thing in your mind that I've learned about called the reticular activating system, and the thing is, it is actually
He just
something,
used a PhD word.
it's actually
Sounds dirty.
when you know this is what you want, and you're now going into the world with that awareness, guess what? You see the person that you should have been looking for, but maybe didn't be aware. You ever get, now I notice I bought cowboy boots over the weekend, and guess what? I can guarantee you my reticular activating system, I'm gonna see your cowboy boots, and I never really paid much attention to boots, but now I'm gonna be looking at boots. You with me? If I said I'll give you $100 to find everybody when you walk out of here that's wearing a jacket, you know, you would see everybody, right? Because you're tuned.
Right.
So this is what you want to be tuned to. But guess what you're tuned to in reality? All the most terrible, emotional, negative experiences in your life, going back to as far as sometimes you can't even remember, right? And Dagmar would teach you that, because you got to uncover a lot of those things and understand. But you can do that day by day. Yes.
Right. I had a friend of mine, when we were in our 20s, he's now a very wealthy man. We took a drive to Arkansas.
Mhm.
And naturally, and that was before GPS, and you had to use maps.
Use maps, right.
And
Good old days.
so we were going to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Okay.
And at a certain point, I kind of got lost where we were on this traveling. And he said the most remarkable thing, and I'll never forget this drive. And it's probably, he goes, I like to, when I travel a long way, look at the cities in between the points that I'm going to. And I go for each city that is along the way that I haven't made it to yet, as opposed to the final destination. May not seem like a big deal.
It's a
but
huge
It's
deal.
a huge
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because that's part of what I'm saying is, if you wait, one of the things, another secret in here, I think I've covered probably at least 5 of them. There's about 20,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna cover 5 on Friday.
Being filmed, so you can come back
So,
in.
so I'll come back to it and watch it, but exactly.
Right.
There's a song, I don't know, anybody ever heard of the guy, the singer-songwriter Harry Chapin?
Of
Yes.
course.
Okay. So he does Cats in the Cradle, that's the one everybody knows. But there's another song called Greyhound, one of my favorite songs. It says, stepping off of the sturdy bus, first time I've understood. It's got to be the going, not the getting there, that's good.
Right.
That's a thought for keeping if I could. It's got to be the going, not the getting there, that's good. So the point is,
Not bad.
your point, that,
Don't
that-
give up your day job.
Yeah. That's all right.
Great
I'm used to it. There's another song he does, which I used to do in coffee houses and bars, called Mr. Tanner. And it was, but music was his life, it was not his livelihood, and it made him feel so happy, and it made him feel so good. He sang from his heart, he sang from his soul, he did not know how well he sang, it just made him whole. Mr.
Cool.
Tanner. He was a cleaner from a town that's, okay, I know all the words. I have,
Neat.
remember, I have semi-autographic memory, so I can sing you things I can't remember, because I hear the song playing
They
in
just
my
come
head.
to you.
So anyway, but you with me? So that's great. That's a great story, because the thing is, that is kind of the bottom line
It's the
to
journey.
my talk, is it is a journey. My kids, everybody who knows me now, get tired of me hearing it, saying it's a journey, because it is. That where I am today in my health has been a journey. It started in 2017. And now I'm 65 pounds less, and I'm off of all medications. And if you saw me back, if you saw that video back in there and looked at me now, you'd say that doesn't, I mean, I can see it's the same guy, but it doesn't look like he's got the same shell. You know, it's different, right, Randy? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
you guys have been with me on that journey. So, but it's not just your physical. It's number one, knowing where this is, knowing where you are, and taking about 15 minutes a day to make sure that whatever part of that vision that you choose to do, to live in your ideal day, you at least do that for 15 minutes. And for sure, make sure that you're exercising and reminding your mind as to what this looks like. And actually, the last secret is more what this feels like. That's the key. The key from your intellectual or your thinking mind to this is a thing we call feelings. And that's where you get from here to here. So that's all I got for today.
That's it?
All right. You think you can do this again on Friday?
A version of this. A version of
I
this.
took a lot of notes, so I'm gonna check out.
Okay, good. I appreciate that. Okay, so I think we are, we're over time, but